live on YouTube.
Okay, look at the camera's got to readjust, I guess, or something. Hang on, let me. I think the camera does this automatic. Oh, there we go. Okay, now the view's normal again.
There we go. It's always a little
Yeah,
bit tricky when we go from Zoom to live because there's a bit of a delay, and then you get
yeah,
this. Then you've got to switch the sound off and everything. But we're here. Welcome and welcome to
yeah.
Spiritual Sundays with myself, Mike Warwick, and Mason Christian.
Yeah, me, Mason, Christian. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The
Not, yeah,
your
not,
video. So
not, not religious Christian. That's just my last name. The priest.
religion. That would be a funny name. Would you imagine if your parents had called you religious Christian? That would have caused a few problems at school.
Oh,
Hello, religious. Um,
probably. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so Mason, how's your week been? Two questions. How's your week been? And the thing that you had an inspiration for the topic for today. So two questions. You can choose to ignore both of them or answer both of them or just start talking about something else.
Yeah, spin the wheel again. I would no. I'll do my week was really good. Thanks, Mike. I could talk about some successes. I could talk about some of the challenges. Um, but yeah, the idea, and I hope you had a good week too. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you had a good week.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's been amazing.
Um, yeah, the
Stuff,
idea.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Look,
Um,
we've got. I'm
sorry, I
sorry
think there's
to.
a camera that doesn't get the time to.
Yeah, there's a your video and the sound is glitching ever so slightly, but I mean, I think it's not. I think we can all live. We can do. We can work with it. It's fine. 'Cause you're in the normal. You're on your normal spot and your normal connection, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Normal thing. Wi-Fi router's really relatively close. It's even good weather outside today.
Mm.
Usually the rain might affect it, but not today, so it should be all right. Is it sounding delayed now? Is it sounding normal or delayed still?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll see what the live stream looks like. It's just for me, your image is glitching ever so slightly. Like it keeps freezing. Let's have a look. But it
Let me just check
looks,
this router.
yeah,
Let me
it's a
check this
little,
one
it's
sec.
a little bit glitchy on the live stream as well. Sorry about this, everyone. Um, when you're using technology, these things do tend to happen. These do, they can, it does happen. But well, I guess Mason was asking me about my week, and yeah, it's been an incredible week. I don't know if everybody who's watching knows, but I'm presenting a radio show at the moment as well called Where to Next, and so that
Oh,
involves traveling around. I was just speaking. Oh, Mason's gone. I was just speaking about my week, Mason, while you were checking the thing.
yeah, I heard that. I adjusted my router, so hopefully maybe it's talking more smoothly or my voice lines up a little better.
Yeah.
Something.
No, it seems a lot smoother now. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, let's leave that segue, and we'll probably well, thank for everybody who's live. You can watch us bumbling around, but I think for the the recorded version, we might just cut to this moment. We go, "Welcome to Spiritual Sundays with me, Mike
Yeah,
Warwick."
yeah, 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 yeah. Take two. And Mason Christian, take two. Okay. Yeah, usually I don't have the touch of technology, but maybe I fixed it there. So yeah, thanks. Thanks everyone. But the question the I wondered if we had chatted about just living as your authentic self. That was the
Mm,
question. Being your
okay.
authentic self, or what is it, or what do you
Yeah.
think of that? What does it mean to you? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I mean, what there's a lot of, you hear about that quite a lot. You hear that word used fairly frequently, and ooh, yeah, I was reading an article. Yeah, so it's come back to me. What does it mean to you, Mason?
Uh, yeah. I mean, like it feels like a whole discussion is the answer, right? I feel like there's so many ways to answer it, and I think it's a long path of discovery. I think kind of co-creating, creating yourself, your authentic self. Maybe this lifetime is for that. Like you're polishing your soul, changing slightly every couple years or experiences. Um, yeah, being real to you. So I don't know. I think it's cool to talk about to like so much comes to mind. It'd be nicer to say it even simpler. Like what do I actually think of it? Yeah.
Mm, yeah. I think, you know, with any kind of spiritual conversation, there's always the possibility that the something that'd be very, very valuable could be taken and someone will grab hold of it and start to misuse it. I think that's fair to say. So, like, one thing that comes up for me is thinking about this word about authenticity. Is I can't remember who it was. I think it was Charles Eisenstein. I was reading. He's a writer I follow on Substack, and he was saying,
Cool.
I think it was him. It probably maybe it wasn't him, but this particular writer was saying, being authentic can be hijacked by a person who thinks that that gives them license just to be rude and inconsiderate
Mm,
towards other people. Because you say, yeah, well, that's me being authentic. I'm not being polite. I'm not following by society's rules and standards because I'm being authentic. And I
yeah.
challenge that
Yeah.
use. I would challenge that use of the word because I think, well, maybe that's just you letting yourself off the hook. Because actually, to be authentic can often mean that you're also containing things that you don't want to visit upon other people. You might be having a really difficult time authentically, but I do admire people who are able to contain that and hold it and still be authentic, but not using this word authentic as an excuse just to be essentially kind of inconsiderate and basically rude.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying for sure. I think I think there's a difference between being authentic and being aligned with truth. And aligned with truth, you know, if you think about a pure way to live or the ideal way to live, or maybe a way to live that's like a goal or something, you try to your best live in what you believe is truth. I think you'd probably be okay for the most part. But I mean, if you authentically believe, you know, like like lying is good or stealing is good or being arrogant is good or allowing your ego to just take control that way. I think living that way, you know, I think uh, you eventually learn how that doesn't serve you in your own way, and that's kind of everyone else's business. That's their path. If they have to find out that way, that's it. But yeah, I think so. I think you should that's what I was saying earlier. Like the way you live authentically kind of always shapes differently. You're always shaping it. So if you authentically believe, you know, living one way you are, and then you find, excuse me, you find out it doesn't serve you, and then you authentically live, oh, you know, maybe being honest is better. Oh yeah, honesty seems to work all the time. So you're maybe closer to truth. So maybe living authentically in truth, yeah, two slightly different things. Big differences, I guess.
Mm. Yeah. What would be what would be a practical example of somebody who's living inauthentically and compared to someone who's living authentically? Or maybe you've got stories from your own experience.
Well, I, I think one main difference that comes to mind is do you feel good living authentically, and do you feel good or bad? Do you feel bad in any way living inauthentically? Something I mean is I was talking to somebody recently about uh, what are some of the consequences of living inauthentically? Maybe like people pleasing, for example. That's something I've had in my life a lot. And some of the results from people pleasing are, inauthentically going out of my way to do things for people. Eventually, doing that so much leads to some lack of acknowledgement. Like I just, maybe don't get thank you'd enough as much as I thought I should be, or something to balance that out, right? Which could lead to resentment over time. And if you're not like I wasn't super practiced at handling resentment, and that just kind of that becomes just toxic over time. So just kind of living inauthentically, yeah, people pleasing, and it turns into some toxic emotion like guilt or shame. Guilt or shame.
Oh, okay, I got you. So, are you talking about people pleasing in terms of you were doing things and behaving in ways, maybe refraining from doing things also because you thought that the people or person involved would see what you're doing, appreciate it, and thank you. So it was kind of a way of you getting validation from other people,
Yeah.
which is kind of what leads us, which is a natural, it's fairly natural really to want that, isn't it? Because when we're little kids, we do want people to tell us that we're good, and we do want to please our caregivers, and we do want that.
Yeah, yeah. And even that's another part of living authentically. I found trying to gain everyone's approval or try to seek everyone's approval like becomes taxing, and really truly becomes impossible. And then, eventually I asked the question, like, what about my approval? Like what do I really think about it? What,
God,
yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
what brought you to that point then? Because I think, Mason, what you're talking about is something that many people all around the world would can connect to. That that kind of like just trying to get approval, trying to get approval. Maybe you go to a particular university and do a particular type of course, and then do a particular type of career, and maybe even have a particular type of lifestyle because you're trying to fit in, you're trying to do the right thing, you're trying to be approved of. And people will do that for a period of time, decades maybe, until you get to the point where you can't do it anymore. But what, I mean, I don't know if you want to share that, but what brought you to the point where you were like, what the hell am I doing? And how did you have the awareness to realize you were doing that?
Um, I mean, that's a cool question, but I'm not sure if I remember one single aha moment um, where I had that realization, but uh, I've just been thinking, lots of conversations of, seeing a community of people where people like care about each other and friends are kind of really there for each other. That like really impacted me. And I took some counseling courses, and that's how I started to work in therapy. So we kind of learn a lot about self-compassion in that. And I start to see, oh, self-compassion, when you can really pull it off, is a lot of times a better option than guilt or shame or wallowing in it or just letting like a bad story kind of play over. So I like really practiced this self-compassion thing. And actually, here comes Jeremy. I think he's going to jump in. Jeremy really helped me with self-compassion. Hey, Jer.
Hi.
Hey, we're just talking about living authentically, being your authentic self. Uh, what it kind of means to us. And Mike asked me, how did I start considering myself a bit more? I'm pretty sure that was kind of the basis of your question. Like, how did I? So, yeah. So I was just talking about how how I started really practicing getting used to self compassion. Even if I felt guilt or shame, or I felt unworthy in some way, or I'd really made a mistake, or I was like
Uh,
punishing myself in my head
Ben,
extra, I said, okay, cool. Like you
it's
felt it.
inside.
Here's permission to move on. And and just tell yourself like it's not the end of the story. We're just gonna keep going, and like you're still worthy. Like you're still worth it. So let's go. So that plus maybe, meditation, some of the stuff that we practice. Sometimes when I try to observe the feelings or the emotions of a conversation. Sometimes I try to observe and look at the person, and sometimes I also try to observe like myself talking to that person. So like I'm observing the conversation between the two of us as like one thing, and I just try to remove myself from it a little bit. And that maybe that just makes it easier to look at. So those kinds of things just started to make sense to me. And those kinds of things, tried one at a time, became like tools, you know. And and then those tools simply just try to just guide me back to what I think is truth. They try to guide me back to, well, like mistakes are okay. People's feelings get hurt. And, was I trying to hurt that person? And, if I can honestly answer to myself, like, no, then wow, that's great. Okay, cool. Like I'm off the hook a little bit for whatever the disaster is. And if I can honestly look at myself and say, well, yeah, yeah, I was, I was upset. And we had that discussion out of anger. And I don't know, I just kind of twisted the screws a bit on purpose. And I know the words I used. And um, at least I can fix that if I'm looking at that. And actually, it really sucks to look at that. So I'm gonna just look at that for the duration of 3 or 4 breaths because that's all I can handle. My nervous system starts to wig out after that, and we're good. We're good there. That's a victory. We'll just call it that for now. And that that practice over time and many, many stiff discussions, debates, or arguments, I think it proves to be helpful. That's why I'm trying to promote that type of an idea.
Right.
Cough, excuse me.
It's a long road, I guess, the road to self-compassion, to being kind to yourself. I mean, did you, sorry, I'm asking you loads of questions. Jeremy, hi. I was thinking that I've got really into asking questions, obviously. I mean, we all ask questions in our work with clients, don't they? But I thought if if I'm asking questions, I could play that role a little bit in our meeting today, and just kind of dig around for some juicy tidbits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions are good because you're good at questions, and you work as a therapist yourself. So it's like, and the questions help me think. So yeah, any questions you ask are fun.
And I'm thinking about the people at home as well. Somebody who's listening to this, and is practicing self compassion, and is at the beginning of that journey, or maybe it hasn't even occurred. I remember when it didn't occur to me. I thought it was just like really self-indulgent in a bad way, to be kind to yourself, that you've actually got to beat yourself up on a regular basis to stop you because you deserve it, because I was such a bad person. I deserved that. I do remember,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got notebooks full of toxic self-hate that I used to write in my diary every day whilst living a normal life. And I was working as that was before I started doing the therapy stuff. And it seems so reasonable to do that, to be incredibly mean to yourself.
So
Like,
can I ask you a question, Mike?
yeah.
Like when did you have that realization moment? Like when did you realize like, oh, I'm living a normal life, but then there's this thing going on that I'm writing. Oh, there's this like dark thing in the or whatever it was. Like when did you realize those were two separate and like, oh, it's how'd you notice that?
Well, I really needed. I was in a relationship that wasn't working very well. Surprise, surprise, considering how unfriendly I was to myself. So what would
Hmm.
happen with me is I'd get into a relationship, stay in it for considerable amount of time, like maybe years or something like that. Then the relationship would start to get into trouble because if you're in a relationship and fundamentally you don't like yourself and you're not willing to look at that, and you don't know you can look at that until you've really, I think anyway, until you've, well, how that's how it was for me. Before I actually sat down with a trained person, somebody who knew what was going on, had a night, they didn't know exactly what the road was going to be. You don't know the road, what where you're going to go with a client, but you do know that the person's you're going to journey together, right? If it works out. So obviously, my therapist had that kind of, she already had a better idea about what was going to happen than I did. And so with this one particular relationship, the usual thing had run its course. We'd had our honeymoon period. Then things were starting to get difficult. And she said, look, we either go to therapy or we split up. And I
Okay.
wasn't ready to split up. I didn't think I was. I was frightened by that. Ironically, after all of those years in therapy, we did break up because I realized that the relationship wasn't sustainable. But so to come back to the point, the question that you asked me, it was I realized that slowly over time, maybe it was the first few months or the first 6 months of a therapy process where I began to realize that I was making a choice to beat myself up. And it seemed like such a natural choice. It was one that I'd adopted quite early on in my teens as a way of dealing with I don't know, I just was disappointed in who I was. I thought I wasn't very good at things. I had lots of hang ups about the way I looked. So I'd been bullied by various people in my life before that. So there was all of that kind of stuff. And so
Yeah.
it was entering therapy when I began to realize, oh, there's a choice. There are other options than just doing what I'm doing to myself day in, day out. And thinking
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
normal and, living a normal life. I mean, I was living a normal life. I was holding down a relationship, a job. I could buy things. I could go into shops. I could go on holiday. You know, it all looked fairly normal from the outside, but I'm not going to do it. But if I dug out some of those journal entries, well, it's shocking. And a lot of people are walking around being horribly mean to themselves, meaner than they would ever be to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I've asked people often, like, would you say like what you just said to yourself, you know, to another person? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, yeah, no. And then it's yeah. And sometimes when you have enough discussions with people and you find out like, oh, this painful thing you're reacting to is like your inner child, and then you change the way you speak to your inner child, it really can turn things around. But so yeah, that moment though, you said it was like within therapy, kind of I'm picturing you like co-creating with someone, like the other person, you and the therapist are looking at things and these these realizations are coming out, and it's cool. I hope that you and I and Jeremy and anyone that joins us and anyone watching, I hope we can have this co-creation, that factor. I hope that can come out in these podcasts that we do. So that's cool. That was a cool answer to the question. You're gonna ask me questions, and I'm asking you questions.
It's cool, yeah. Well, Jeremy Mason was saying that you helped him a lot with that. Can we talk about that for people? I mean, that might be an interesting thing for people to hear from, because you guys worked together sort of, I don't know, Mason, did you go to Jeremy as a client in the early days?
Yeah, I went to Jeremy's place for about 6 weeks. I think it was about 6 weeks, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Oh, you stayed there. You stayed like together in the same place for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Jeremy and I stayed together at the same place for 6 weeks straight, and we did a lot of really one-on-one stuff, physical training, mental training, emotional training, a lot of the skills that Jeremy has, like acupuncture, counseling. Um, so we did some yoga, we did a lot of meditation, we did a lot of kind of food management, managing what we ate. It was a great place. We had access to the forest. We were close to a forest. It was like really in nature, and it was just the two of us in this place with this wood burning stove. And yeah, Jeremy got to teach me a lot of things that he knows. Yeah, so it was transformative.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about Jeremy, that people who know him know that he's just incredible with this. I don't know. I don't want to use the word. I think the word insane in this context might not be the right word to use. But just this mind-boggling depth of knowledge and compassion and heart-centered love, you know. So that was, Jeremy, was that one of the ways you were working with people then? You know, sort of these kind of more immersive experiences.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a house and it was a retreat center.
Hmm.
And so people would come and visit one on one. Not just one on one, but I would organize a team of people. So it'd be myself and others that would work with the individual throughout the day and throughout the week. Um, yeah, so that was something that I did.
What also,
And I still continue to do sometimes.
okay, so that's something, okay, that's good. I mean, that is good to know that is available. Um,
Yeah.
if so, I mean, how do you start? How do you start? I just actually, and this is really interesting to me. It's like, because there's two different perspectives. You don't often get this, do you? You've got
No.
um, how do
Yeah, if you
you?
had like if you had a client or someone that you could ask both people involved or whatever your
Yeah,
yeah that
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean,
sorry
what
that your question.
what would I mean? How do you start working with a person? And because we do hold on, don't we, to, oh yeah, you're just being nice to me. If you really knew me, you would know that I'm right because I've done this and I've done this and I didn't do this and I'm not measured up to this. I mean, so many of us are doing that to ourselves.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
start with something like that? Where do you begin even?
Well, first to find out where the ego's at, where our defense system lies, and and then being kind to it and creating a new relationship with it. And so if there's it's not just the ego, but that's one thing. Um Basically taking the time to really get to know the person and, and then asking questions. And so there's times when somebody says something that maybe is a bit mean or is aggressive or, let's say, stupid. When they say something that's stupid, then asking them why. Why is it stupid? You know, what is the mechanism to to that? So what is the mechanism to calling something stupid and then actually like looking at the thoughts? So like how is a thought stupid? And so sometimes it's valid that I wouldn't really use the word stupid, but if it's unkind or if it's a thought that's not helping us in any way, not helping the world that we live in, our worldview, then we address that.
Mm. But so Mason, I mean, when you went for that experience before those 6 weeks, um, what was going on for you? What was going on inside of your mind and your body? What did you bring? What did you bring with you to that place?
Uh, I like I you know I'm sure I had a journal with an actual list of issues and tasks I wanted to work out. But I mostly just remember, busyness. I was really busy minded when I went to Jeremy's place. I was coming from a really big, busy town, almost like a city, and it was in Ontario. And I had gotten to Vancouver Island, and immediately uh, it's a smaller population. The culture is a bit slower in ways. And I got into Jeremy's house, which was in the forest. So everything had really slowed down. So right away I thought, oh yeah, like this is what I'm going to work on here. Like I'm busy and I'm thinking a lot. And yeah, even though I wasn't personally busy maybe the most at the time, I had the time. I had the time to go there. And yeah, it was it was that thing, you go into stillness and you can see how busy your mind was. So I kind of worked on that,
Oh,
which
okay.
was yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm getting a sense of the setting. Jeremy was quite deliberate. You'd be near nature, things are just slowing down because that busyness means that our mind keeps on spinning. It keeps all that mental activity going. And when you slow
Yeah.
down, it's like, all right, okay, now I can actually, instead of it just whizzing past your face, you can see it, you can feel it, and you can look at it. Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about? Is that why you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think slowing anything down is a good way to look and to get more focus. And as we like slow our breath, our thoughts kind of slow down, our heart rate slows down, everything slows down, and we can like zoom in on things. But I was um yeah, I needed it was like simplifying everything at Jeremy's place was good. Yeah.
Yeah, even with food, right? There's the selecting of the food, going to select the food and asking your body, what do you need? And asking your body, training and intuition into food selection, and then the cooking of the food, taking the time to cook the food, and then while cooking the food, basically creating charms, and charms being um, lucky spells, then putting them endowing the food. So like loving the food, and then when eating the
Mm.
food, really like so having the food being beautiful, and then taking the time to really enjoy the food, and so then chewing it properly and absorbing all the nutrition that's there, that makes a big difference, because then we're nourishing ourselves. It's one time when we eat when we can actually truly take the time to absorb what we need and to take into our lives what we need.
Okay, that strikes me as a really grounded way of practicing self-compassion.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
in a way.
rather than eating to entertain yourself or eating to distract yourself, you're slowing down and listening to your body, and it's about nutrition and it's about the health of the body, and that itself is an act of self-love.
Yeah.
It was great. I was gonna mention that Jeremy taught me to cook some really great things. I knew how to cook before, and I knew the importance of nutrition, and I knew how important it was to make a meal sometimes and sit and just focus on doing that. But I hadn't put it into practice like so much as Jeremy and I did that time. So for 6 weeks, I really got to do that. Um, and I'm trying to think about how does all this relate to the authentic self, and how does all this relate to um, me and being my authentic self. Uh, it was a really condensed 6 weeks of talking about things as they came up. Like I said, all those therapies, really getting in touch with myself. I'm all for standing up to the challenges that you've got right in front of you and dealing with what you've got at home. But also sometimes it's good to leave your scene, get out of your set and setting, get somewhere new and have a refreshing perspective. So I did that with Jeremy. And in that time, that's when I discovered, oh, maybe I should go and start studying some of the counseling education, some of the coaching education, some of the ability to work with others. And how do I combine these skills of liking or enjoying communicating with people and caring about people, uh, discussing things, which, being a part of a community. These are all like my favorite things. So I found the start to that trail, like which all led me to here. And it like I really had some good realizations in that time of just getting in touch with myself authentically that way, right? That's what I'm saying. Like it 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 kind of put me on the right track. I just remember this stuff at the beginning of some really good decisions I made.
Right, okay, so it was that slowing down. There was something around nutrition and cooking, and then that started your journey where you said, right, actually, oh, you know what, I can do courses in this and I can learn about it. And the best way to learn anything really is to learn how to teach it, I think. And teach isn't quite the right word, because you're accompanying a person when you do this kind of work. I'm just wondering, Jeremy, I was just thinking I might switch off your video for a bit. Oh no, we can see your face. I think just looking at the trees and stuff
Okay.
it was distracting me a little bit from what Mason was saying. I don't know if
Okay.
it might be
I'll stay
distracting
still.
other people as well. I've got that thing where if something's, I'll be
I'll
like, what?
stay still.
Yeah. But obviously
Yeah.
seeing your smiling face is a very different thing. Yeah. It's nice to see the trees. I just thought it
Yeah.
might be a bit distracting. Anyway,
ADHD. I have it too. I have it too.
well,
Yeah.
I
Even
don't.
even Jeremy's face is
Yeah.
distracting. His beautiful face is distracting.
You give distracted face. Right, okay. All right. So
I'm just
let's.
joking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I was, well, no, I am me, and I am interested. So what? Well, I mean, what kind of things can you expect if you wanted to go and do something like that, and you wanted to work with somebody the way that Mason you work with Jeremy? What other kind of things can you expect from an experience like that? What I know it's going to be different for every person, but what the cooking, the slowing down, being in
Qigong.
nature, qigong. I
Yeah.
mean, how does I only know?
Qigong, which is Tai. It's a base of Tai Chi, so it's slow moving, and it's moving your energy around. So you'll see, like, Tai Chi, well, qigong is a part of Tai Chi. So qigong, qi means energy, and gong means movement.
Mm.
So, and then also yoga classes, and also we did carpentry. So yeah, Mason helped
Yep.
build a garage door. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. It
and
was cool just to be
and
just to
and
be outdoor and doing things and movement and something that I hadn't done for a while. And you know, Jeremy and I were using power tools, and it was like we were just practicing using power tools consciously. I'm not smooth with some of the big power tools. And so it's amazing when you just look at, oh, like what are you afraid of? Like what comes up? Like, oh, you want to like face your fears when using a skill saw, and it can the more you slow it down and look at the process, and now it's becomes like a bigger, grander thing. And then yeah, when you see what you've built still there 4 years later, uh it's like it just gives you this cool sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. It's cool. It's great. Um yeah, we did Qigong, which was cool. And when you were talking, Jeremy, I was thinking like we did meditation as well, and meditating is great. I think it's like one of the greatest tools. I think it's, but then Qigong too, it's like if you can't, it's like meditating also. It's moving energy. If I find if it's hard to sit and meditate, if it's really hard and you just it's not happening, Qigong, you could try that for a few moments and see if that's a way of, because
Mhm.
like sitting still, things come up and sometimes it's like not comfortable, but if you move, it can like kind of come up and out, maybe a little bit
yeah,
differently.
qigong is a
Qigong's good
moving
for that.
meditation. It's a
Yeah.
moving meditation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love this approach. And thinking about it, uh, I mean, it really worked for me to sit in a chair and have weekly conversations. But I can also really see how just to get out into nature, to be working with your hands, to be having those kind of conversations, to be moving energy, processing a lot, I suppose, as well. I guess with authenticity, because we were talking about authenticity, that goes hand in hand with the ability to, with the strength or the courage to be vulnerable as well.
Yeah. The courage to not know, and it's okay to not know how to do something.
I mean, I think fear and anxiety and not being able to do something like is authentic. That's your authentic self. Like thinking I should be able to do that by now. I should be at this stage in life by now. I should have this much. Like that's, look where you are and why you're there is authentic, you know. Uh, I, and so I think that's where some of the tools like acceptance comes in, a radical acceptance.
Mm.
If you can radically accept, where you are in life, that's a really honest starting point.
Yeah. And I guess another question would be, there's some, there might have been, so there's something in that for you, in that it's two men working together as well. So there's something about that male relationship, because Jeremy's a bit older than you. You're not old enough to be Mason's father, but I think there's a lot of us. I know I'll put my hand up to it. I had a bit of a, something difficult, but my relationship with my father is probably what I spent most of my time talking about in therapy. And so being with other men and being in a situation where you're listened to, you're accepted the way you are, you're doing things together as well, constructive
Right.
things. I can see how that, and where you can also be yourself and you can be vulnerable and you can allow yourself to feel emotion, because qigong's going to bring emotions up, isn't it? And the conversations and eating well, as soon as you stop like eating those really salty fatty foods, then oh my goodness, then things start to move inside of you as well. So I'm wondering for you guys, what kind of role that sort, that thing I'm speaking about there, relationship with fathers. I know, Mason, you lost your father, didn't you? You were quite relatively young when you lost your dad.
No, I was older actually. No, no. I don't know. Maybe I think maybe we only talked about it once a while ago. So maybe I
Mm.
makes sense. You don't. Maybe if you don't remember, it was 2022. I was 34, whatever,
Yeah.
35, 30,
So
something
to
like
me,
that.
34 is young.
Okay, so okay.
It's
Oh, okay.
34 is
Okay,
pretty
yes.
young to be losing a parent, I think. I mean, obviously people lose their parents when
Okay.
they're children as well, but you still so many phases of life that you can share with your father if you've got a good relationship, if you're in your 30s. That's
Yes,
young.
okay,
I feel that's
that's what
young.
you meant.
Yeah,
It is, yeah. I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was like, wow, my mother is alive and she's doing great, which I'm so thankful for. And I feel like I got, so much like I like started holding her tighter when my father did pass away because I was so close with him. And I was just thinking the other day, yeah, wow, he was 68 when he passed, if he lived till he was 80 something, that's still like a long time from when
Mm.
he'd be here now. Um, yeah, yeah. I forget what I was gonna say there. All right,
And your mom was part of the retreat for a little
that's
bit
it.
too.
Yeah, yeah, she came. She definitely
Yeah.
came, which was great. She came out for a bit. She got to see it. It was wonderful. Yeah, I just looked at this note I made here when you were talking about being honest or vulnerable with other men, Mike.
Mhm.
That was something. It's great to, even if you're not vulnerable with other men, if you're a guy and you're with other guys, just being honest with other guys is a great starting place. That was something that was good. And that camaraderie ship really balances out that being bullied when we were younger kids. I can resonate with you too on that. That really sucks. That was really shaping at the time. And then even, 25 plus years later that I'm hanging out with Jeremy, it still feels good to build camaraderie and be accepted in like a guy friendship or a group of guys. My I'm 37 and I've got a few like great guy friends, best guy friends. Jeremy is definitely one of them. A friend of mine, one of my best friends, I've known him since grade two. I met him like way up north in Ontario. So we've been friends for like 30 plus years. A friend of mine I met in high school. We've been friends for 20 years. Another friend in high school, 20 years. It's really great having friends that you can be your authentic self with. Those friendships last a long time too. I could call these folks, even though I haven't talked to a couple of them in years, some of them I talk to often, and they'd pick up the phone and it would be great. It would be awesome. So yeah, authentic self, your authentic way, it's connected to these things we're talking about for
Mm.
sure.
So what I'm getting from this is sometimes when you talk about authenticity and you talk about vulnerability, it's almost as if it's something that you're doing or something that you're adding to yourself, but actually it's so simple in many ways. It's about slowing down, being a bit more in nature, listening to what your body's asking you for, working cooperatively with somebody else, sharing things that maybe you would keep to yourself normally, and being in a situation where people will listen to that. Somebody can, and then when you've got somebody like trained with you, like Jeremy, that means that somebody who can guide you along the road, I suppose.
Yeah, it's helpful. Removing perceptions too. Like sometimes being authentic and yet adding and being creative and growing your strength and your skill and your intuition and the things that you're good at. But sometimes it's about like removing beliefs or unhelpful patterns or yeah, thought forms that you don't even know where they came from. Just, like conditioning, programming, ideas that other people have given you.
Hmm. So, I mean, how do you do that? I guess that would be a question that somebody watching this would ask. How do you remove, how do you notice you've got a belief that isn't true? And then if you've got it and you notice it, how do you work with that? What do you do with them?
Well, you could start at some of the pain points in your life, like, you know, look for any areas of your life that are uncomfortable, where you have any resistance. And typically, where you have resistance in your life, you can get down to like a core belief about yourself, your core beliefs. So, like, for example, you know, you get invited out to a birthday party and you think, oh, I really want to go. It'd be nice to connect with friends and people because I value that. And it's my friend's birthday and I want to be there to support them. But you don't go because you're afraid of being judged or something. You've made a mistake or you're guilty or you're so you don't go because you're afraid of being judged. And and when you find out like, okay, well, what, and then you ask yourself like, oh, what am I afraid of being judged of? Well, for this reason. And like, what if they found out? When you get to that resistance and you ask yourself why, you get down to these core beliefs about yourself, and something in there might be like, well, I'm not worthy, you know, or I'm afraid, or you get to some trauma, like I've been bullied before, and that reminds me of being bullied, and like it's triggering, and my nervous system doesn't like it, and so you can get to a core belief of, well, I'm not worthy. And then like, where did you believe that in life? Where did someone tell you that you're not worthy? Where did you present your idea or your expression and it was kicked to the curb, or it wasn't appreciated, or you weren't loved? And you can kind of try to rewrite your story that way and say, oh no, like I was just a kid doing my best. And like it was them that didn't notice. Actually, it was their failing to not, see me in my light. And it wasn't my failing. And then you can maybe forgive yourself. You can throw in some of that self-compassion that we were talking about. So it starts at these really awkward moments where there's resistance, or I don't like that, or something's just not flowing smoothly. I feel like a benefit, a byproduct of living in your authentic self is that you access this flow state more. Maybe we should do a podcast on that. Like, what's a flow state? Like, what does it feel like? What is that all about? So I feel like you access that more when you live as your authentic self. And and so you can find resistance in your life very actually easily and very quickly. And if you just patiently, with your breath, with mindfulness, look at it, or look at it with a friend, or spend 6 weeks doing it with a comrade like I did with Jeremy, or you spend an hour looking at it right now, like as we're doing. You just chip away at it, and you find out what's under that resistance.
Hmm. Yeah. So finding and recognizing resistance in your life is a really good signpost for a belief or an experience that's led to a belief that we might be holding about ourselves that is messing us up and making life difficult and unpleasant, really, to lots of different degrees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what if you think of resistance as a speed bump? Like speed bumps on the road are meant you're meant to slow down. Like if you think of it resistance as a speed bump, you're supposed to slow down. You're supposed to like watch for kids crossing the road. You're supposed to pay attention to what's going on around you.
Oh, I love that metaphor. Where did you get that from? Where did you, is that one of your own? Did you just make that up now?
That came now just from you and I talking. So at the beginning of the session, when we had the intention, let's co-create something, and what's the
Mm.
benefit of like us talking here? It's that. Like being authentic with your mates, your comrades, your friends, you come up with cool ideas like that. And like now that means something.
That's so cool. I love that. That resistance, when you hit resistance in your life, so that's like something that's not working or something you want to do and you can't make yourself do it, or something that you keep trying and it just keeps messing up and it doesn't go the way you want it to. Why does that keep happening? These speed bumps, we're supposed to be slowing down and going, what is that speed bump made out of? Why does that keep
Yeah.
happening to me? And then you're going to need company in order, you can need good company in order to work that out. It's hard to do that on your own, is what we're saying. And it's not, I guess we're not saying, and then you must go and spend 6 weeks in a cabin in the woods doing Qigong. But like, there's a slow down. Let's just find some people who will also slow down with you and have got enough presence about them that we can look at the speed bumps that we're all bashing our undercarriages on.
Yeah, awesome. Brilliant. We'll all become mechanics. And you know, like maybe it's when you have to replace your wheel bearings that you realize like, oh, like I gotta stop just like hitting these things at full speed. Like I'm gonna run. Maybe when you gotta fix your car, you know, and if you don't drive, fix your bike or whatever. When maybe yeah, because
Wow,
because
love that.
when it's not sustainable, right? So it's like when you yeah, but that's cool. I love talking about that. We kind of that's great.
That's wonderful. Are you still doing those, Jeremy? Are you still doing those retreats?
Um, we will be doing them, but not at my place. But there's a place in Nanaimo on Gabriel Island,
Hmm.
which will be doing those. Yeah, we still host them.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's a good thing to know. It is, and we're coming up to the hour, and we're sort of keeping things to around about an hour. Um,
We-
and we generally including some kind of a guided meditation on these spiritual Sundays. And I guess that would open it up to who would like to lead it.
I'll do it if
Mason?
you guys, yeah, I'll do it if you guys aren't
Okay.
chomping at the bit to do it. I'll just do one. Yeah.
I'm not, I'm just sitting here processing that conversation. That was wonderful. Speed bumps. When you hit a speed bump in the road, you're supposed to be slowing down. That's why they're there. That is gold. I love that.
Yeah. Um, so let's kind of maybe let's consider that
Mm.
for like a little bit deeper for just a few more moments together. Um, you guys can hear me okay, right? It's good for
Yeah,
a meditation if we do it this way.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Perfect. Um, yeah. So that was an awesome conversation. And the really cool thing about the the really cool sorry, one sec. Yeah. The you, slowing down and like taking a look sometimes when you're forced to, but even now you have the choice. Like you can choose to at will like slow down and take a look. You can choose to slow down and take a look at like crises. You can choose to slow down and take a look at something positive. You can choose to slow down and take a look at anything in front of you, outside of you, or inside of you. And it's interesting, like the when you slow down and you take a look at something. Hang on, I'm just gonna pin myself because those moving trees are distracting. There we go. Yeah, yeah. Okay, there we go. what was I saying? Yeah. When you yeah, when you slow down and look at anything in you, your your attention is funneling into that thing. Um, the longer you look at something, the more your attention is given to that thing. Uh, whether it's like one of your emotions or whether it's like another person listening to you, uh, whether it's a thought or an idea, like you're trying to have a breakthrough on. So, like slowing down and looking at something is actually doing something. You're holding your attention like on something. You're holding like the magnifying glass up to your eye and you're studying that which is there to be studied. So slowing down is actually quite a busy activity. And as you actually slow down, you then begin to notice how busy everything is around you. If you were to sit in nature, you'd really quickly start to hear birds chirping, people walking their dogs, whatever. Nature is actually quite loud the longer you listen. And so is that internal landscape, that internal world. And so every time we close our eyes and we listen to that internal landscape, we're immediately, excuse me, we're immediately thrust into a world of authenticity because you're within the compounds of yourself. You're just within your energy body, your physical body, your spiritual body, however you look at your temple, your domain. And if you're truly just observing and witnessing, you'll you'll see what's coming up naturally, automatically, without your decision making. It just automatically, naturally comes up. Things that are natural and organic and happening on their own, inside you, so no one else is doing it. That now you're like moving closer to authentic. And so from these words that we're just sharing, if we just take that and like go from the mind, like processing that information, now if you go inside and you just start with your breath and you start going from thinking to feeling, and you let the cosmos, you let yourself take over the busyness, you let your mind slow down with your breath, and you just start to pay attention to your body and what's coming up in your body. If you just start to notice what's coming up, you just notice how you want to breathe. You notice, does anything come up right away? Notice, is anything stuck? Notice, are you considering part of the conversation earlier when we discussed Qigong, moving the energy? Maybe easier than sitting still. Maybe as something comes up within you, you need to adjust. Maybe it makes you want to adjust in your seat. Maybe you can adjust and just notice it while it's there, arising on its own. As you as you practice noticing what is coming up right now in this moment, you're simultaneously practicing accepting what's coming up in this moment. Every time you return to observing without judgment, you're allowing that which is coming up to be what it is. You're allowing that which is coming up to be its authentic self. If it came up automatically, it's not you. You didn't bring it up. You didn't choose it up. You're choosing to observe what is coming up. So that which is coming up on its own, naturally, inside of you, is something else. And observing that something else is like watering a plant. And right now, that something else is a seed, and that something else, with your attention, you're watering, then becomes something else again. So by holding your attention on something that's doing something, and something will happen. So I just invite you to go a little slower, to just look at that which is there to be looked at with more patience, more breath, and just a few more moments of grace. No matter what it is, if it arises within you and you are the one that gives it the time and space to express itself, then you're the one that could sit and watch it transform. As you and I co-create this meditation for practice, for sharpness, for clarity, your inner self is co-creating with that which is coming up and expressing itself within you to become something else for yourself, something perhaps more meaningful, something perhaps your soul is looking for, something that your inner self is calling out to be. As you take another look, as you come back to the observer position after such deep feeling, feel, return, feel, return. Try to accept that what came up for you is within you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to change it. You don't have to try to hold it. It's there, and you have access to to that wants to come and express itself within you, anytime you want to make time to afford it the opportunity to come up, you can always invite that which is within you out with your breath. And if things come, they come. And if they don't, they don't. And so maybe with that, I invite you to come back to the space. Mike, you look like you're back in the space. Jeremy, if you're back in the space. I would say that's a few moments of practice at looking at what comes up within you as we have.
Ah, there he is. Jeremy's asking us to turn his video on, and I'm just wondering,
He's here.
yeah, how do I do that? How do I turn his participants? Jeremy, there he is. Ah. Oh, yeah, I turned off Jeremy's video so that when you said you were getting distracted by it,
Yeah.
and you're here, but I don't. How do I get you back?
You touched my video.
Touch my video. How do I get you back? Right, participants. No. Oh dear.
I can hear you though, Jeremy. How was that
Here we are.
for
Here we are.
you?
That was really nice. Thank you, Mason.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Here he
Oh,
is.
there it's got it.
Let me
There he
turn it.
is. So it's cool that Jeremy's out there because I feel truly like I think of this all the time. I feel like you can choose to do this. I mean, I know I slowed it down and you get in touch with your breath, and I really the the theme of that particular meditation was slowing things down, but I feel like you could do it where you and I are sitting, Mike, and even where Jeremy is. Like he's out in nature, he's been moving around. I feel like you can do this in different places. I feel like you can be as authentic doing what we're doing and where Jeremy's outside. It's the same space we enter.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was in London and being able to just ride on the train, knowing how many stops until the train. And so even in the busy, in rush hour in London, I could still slow things down.
Beautiful. That's wonderful, guys. We're sort of at an hour and nearly coming up for nearly an hour and a quarter. So I think what I'll do is we'll come off the live stream, and thank you for everybody at home who's joined us. If
Thank
you
you,
want to come and have a chat, and we didn't do it last week, did we? But we'll be on. If you go to www.coursesforspirit.ca, CA for Canada, and that four is a FOR, coursesforspirit.ca, and you go to the look for workshops, you can click on the Zoom link and you can actually come in and you can have a live chat with us if you want to. So we're going to do that. If you want to join us, we'll be here for a little while, just having a chat. So I'm just going to stop the live stream. And so we're just going to say, so it's goodbye from me. It's Mike Warwick.
Goodbye. It's Jeremy
Mason,
Anway.
Christian, see it.
And
Yep.
we'll see you next week.